Hi, everybody. I know it's so late. There's no time to sleep with this. It is just, I can't even tell you how crazy this is. 1,700, no, 1,675 days since Richard was brutally murdered on Fort Bliss. It was treasonous. It was internal. It was included his chain of command. It included cartel ties, absolutely, in his unit. It included criminal trafficking. It's all coming out. And, you know, this Walmart mass shooting case is all, it is all coming out. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on for so late. And but we have to do this. We have to follow through. You're talking about trafficking hundreds of thousands of children, taking them and trafficking them, and now many are mostly dead. It's just unthinkable. It's just horrible. And then um, the the harm that it does to the community, um, to our country, even now with President Trump just speeding along. There's so many bumps in the road, and drugs are still coming in, and they just hurt so many people, destroy so many families. And then, of course, the weapons, right? The weapons trafficking and everything. And where is Veronica Escobar in all of this, right? Richard was confirmed murdered on Fort Bliss in 2020. We had two meetings with her while we were there. Was there ever a condolence letter? No. Do we know she was up to no good? Yes. Absolutely, Veronica Escobar was up to no good. She has put politics, eh, the politics of protecting a. Oh, well, I'm just, when she's supporting Mario Raskin Ortiz as medical examiner, I mean, she's the one that got him in there, right? When she's supporting signing off on the payment of all of that, when she is supporting and signing off on the payment of violating the voting rights of her district, of her constituents, right? And that's exactly what she did with the El Paso criminal law magistrate court. She absolutely put the politics before her constituents' voting rights, voting rights, and allowed these individuals to be in the criminal law magistrate court, five of them right now. Not, it wasn't always like that when you look at the whole history of it, but they got criminal. They got criminal. That's the only way to say it. And why do they want to have control of these judges? Right? They're criminals. Why do they want to have control of these judges? Because that's the first stop for felony crimes, for any kind of misdemeanor crimes, for the illegal aliens. This is their first stop. And her husband is an immigration judge. Now, why is this important right now? Because we have indication, we believe that he has been fired. We believe that he's been fired. So if you're in El Paso and you know more, um, maybe he's getting ready to be fired. Um, but absolutely, Veronica Escobar's husband, Michael Pleaders, who is an immigration judge there, um, needs to be fired. He absolutely needs to be fired because he absolutely didn't do his duty either, as someone in the community. And she was the co-chair over $1 billion for the Harris campaign. That was, Biden campaign, and then Harris. They had that whole little, I don't know what was that called. It wasn't called democracy. It wasn't called. I don't think it was legal what they did. What do you call it? I don't know. Bending the law. I don't know. But anyway, she ended up, even with all of that money, um, being uh, being in debt, and it's a lost campaign. And now she has to. What is she going to do? What is she going to do? She has so many violations. She has so many viola. I don't think she can write the 5 things that she did in a week. I don't think she can. What can she write? That she advocated for Richard Halliday, the whistleblower soldier? Can she say she requested a hearing, a congressional hearing, to look into all of the uh, tampering and um, the botched investigation into our son, the retaliation against a whistleblower? She's talking about veterans right now. She doesn't care one bit about veterans. What has she done? I don't think she can write what she's done in a week, because uh, when she sits down and writes what she did, it absolutely exposes her intentions. And they're not good. They're stinky. They're smelly. They're absolutely up to no good. And so, it would be a very happy day if we're right, because we requested that he be fired immediately, with Jaime Esparza immediately. Um, and there's a few others on our list, a few others on our list. And another one that we also believe was fired. And so, uh, we did get confirmation with Jaime Esparza, um, of course, and that is confirmed in the news. Um, so the other two we're really waiting on, and Michael Peters is one of them. And it's not like anything. Can I say? It is a right thing to do. It's the right thing to do, because what they have done is absolutely criminal. Absolutely heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. To take the voting rights away from the people, from your constituents, to you know uh, be so connected. I mean, to Mario Raskin Ortiz, who is absolutely cartel. Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind, because he's part of 3905 Bliss Avenue, 3705 Bliss Avenue. I mean, Felix Valenzuela is part of 3705 Bliss Avenue, right? Danae Katzen is part of Bliss Avenue with her husband, um, uh, Jonathan Caleb Ambrose, with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. This is absolutely a criminal group connected to Leilani Hart, to wanting to target um, the case. And the way they targeted the case is to go after the key whistleblower that identified these suspects in the murder case, identified, uh, absolutely witnessed to, um, in a formal complaint, in his formal capacity, the tampering of Richard's investigation, the investigation into our murdered son. And, and why are they sealing the cases? Sealing, making the deals and seals and deals and seals for the Walmart mass shooting, for Richard's case. And to know Patrick Crucius, Patsy, right? He signed it Patsy. Um, you know, and what was that? What did he sign in a very childish handwriting, very elementary handwriting. Um, I've posted it up. He signed Patsy. Patsy, is he a patsy? Did they have to find someone to pin this on? Um, and who's behind this Walmart mass shooting? Because uh, Patrick Crucius, uh, everything around the whole narrative surrounding him is so false, is so untrue. And his family is in the look, his family manages the federal courthouse where the Judge Guadarrama, was presiding over his case for millions and millions of dollars. See, that's, for personal gain. For personal gain, millions and millions of dollars, maybe not for his own personal gain, for personal gain for his friends, like Jaime Esparza, who was allowed to be on that case for almost 2 years. I mean, I just wonder, what does Jaime Esparza's wife think about all of this? I mean, is a fancy car and a fancy house, uh, I don't know. It just is so cringe. It is so cringe how people will sell out their soul. Sell out their soul. Um, and Jaime Esparza illegally, um, was on that case for almost 2 years when his sister was a victim, was there at the mass shooting. Um, she lived, but she was there. And Judge Guadarrama allowed that. Um, Judge Guadarrama allowed his his office manager to, uh, you know, get the quid pro quo from the media, to not say his name, to not reveal who he is. And his son is in the DA's office with Jaime Esparza. It's more than just even a quid pro quo, It really is, because, come on. The son is in the DA's office working, and he's a cyber hacker with Jaime Esparza, and in the FBI office, and in Walmart security. And his sister is married to Patrick Crucius's brother. You know, come on. Uh, This is what is this? Y- You know, uh, this is protection. What it tells me is, what if I was an investigator and I was looking into this, I would say you need to look into the connection between this judicial group, right, and the Sinaloa cartel, because this is protection. And in order to do something like this, they have to be protecting something big. And that is $1 billion trafficking enterprise, right? That's what this is. And if with the Walmart mass shooting case, that is totally intertwined with our son's case. What it is showing the El Pasoans, the community, the law enforcement community, um, that might have, been in a fog all this time. But what it shows, it or they're part of it, right? Or they're part of it. They're, either, wearing rose-colored glasses like, "Oh no, this couldn't happen," or, too scared to say that this could happen, or they're part of it. Um, is that they absolutely have infiltration into our system enough so they can do things like this. And that is such a breach in national security. And like I said, it explains why Richard's case is connected to even the attempts on President Trump's life. And that's going to come out because I said these are connected. This criminal group is connected. It's connected with Hawaii. It's connected with this group. It's connected. Also, a common denominator is the Mormon Church. I don't even want to call it a church. A Mormon congregation, I think, is the right term. Um, uh, this is a common denominator. So, what else is this how they're connected? And then they all just a group of them, this group of them, decided to align with the Sinaloa cartel. I don't know, but I know that there's other cartels, and I know that there's a lot of arrests going on right now. There's a lot of extradition. I hope I say that right. It's, I'm burning the midnight oil, burning the 1 o'clock oil. It's, we're getting so much information, and we're having to go through these open records coming in now. The time is different, right? People are um, absolutely sharing information with us, and then the institutions are afraid because of this designation that the Sinaloa is a terrible organization, because of this designation by the Trump administration. If you're aiding and abetting, you're in big trouble. And so now, more and more information, it's like a floodgate, right? It's flooding in, and we're having to get responses from our many, many hundreds and hundreds of requests and filings, criminal complaints, just regular complaints, and of course, that is another thing that's going on is putting our thoughts together. We have some things that we have to answer, putting our thoughts together to write all of these criminal complaints because they have to be. That it has to be done. This is this has gotten so this this is about our whole future of our country, because what they've done is they've infiltrated into our economy, you see. They've because they've infiltrated into our politics, into our institutions. They've infiltrated into our economy, and they've made that economy uh so that you know let's make life so miserable that people want to, instead of go to the bottle and drink their sorrows away, we'll just, you know, we're illegal drug dealers, right? So, um, y- that and I'm just saying it as a story level, but they just want to make the environment so much so that their business will grow, and their business grows if people are not working and productive, right? That they have too much time on their hand. that they're staying at home, and that they're miserable staying at home. Then substance abuse it grows. And that's not me saying that. That's just the way it is. That's just proven. And if you have that kind of substance abuse, um, then, other things get out of hand. And that's where, you have the human trafficking. That's where you have, then when you're engaged in things like this, we had someone in El Paso now be sentenced to 15 years in prison for the worst type of uh, movies with children, the worst type, that he had lots of them. And, Leilani Hart confessed to that, notarized her confession that she was in possession of these types of movies of the worst type of crimes against children. And, and that was just one little portion of her confession. And she had it notarized, right? And it's in the FBI's hands. And why isn't she arrested? She needs to be arrested and she needs to face those 15 years also. Just for that crime. So, and why is that being protected? Who are they linked to? And, is it linked to the Walmart mass shooting? Well, of course. Of course she's linked to Richard's case. Of course she's linked to the Walmart mass shooting. Of course she is. Richard's unit is linked to the Walmart mass shooting. Richard's platoon leader was her son, Dallas Hart. Dallas Hart is absolutely linked to the Walmart mass shooting. The- you know, the- it's the evidence is hard evidence. I can come on a live stream and say Richard's unit was linked to the Walmart mass shooting and absolutely back that up with 100%. It's already backed up. It's been filed and filed and filed and filed and refiled. They know it. They know it. And so when you have the worst types of crimes against children, guns come along with that. And and substance abuse comes along with that. It's a horrible situation and they get a hold then of the economy. And then the economy um becomes a debtor economy. This whole thing with the golden card, the gold card, right? That's so fascinating because that's supposed to be able to, what, by September, generate trillions of dollars to pay off our debt. I mean, this is kind of the innovative thinking that we need to put on the table. Just for that innovative thinking, I think it's just like, wow, wow, at least people are trying. At least, and this is President Trump, right, is trying to put some solutions on the table for our country because of what this criminal trafficking has done. And they just say that the open borders are for, um, migrants to come in, and that's not the truth. It's to exploit the border and allow for the trafficking, the trucks, the coyotes, the trucks, the vans, everything full of people, full of substances that we don't want in our country, full of uh, um, weapons, harm to peace, harm to peace. And so to hear that Veronica Escobar, um, I really believe that, and she's a person worthy of an investigation. And we're just talking about a few days, really. I mean, it hasn't been that many days since Kash Patel took over the FBI. And this whole thing with, oh, what's the FBI's guys that was doing the honeypot? Who's the honeypot? Was Leilani Hart a honeypot? Right? They're talking about the honeypot plot, the honeypot plot, where these females are up to no good and going into situations and trying to manipulate and everything. Man, I think I can name a few people that are honeypot plots. Was was Danae Katzen a honeypot plot? Was Belen Rocha a honeypot plot? Were all those girls being brought in during the lockdown a honeypot plot? I mean, that was absolutely an abuse of the and a violation of the standard operating procedures for the barracks. And that's not what you want during a lockdown, for what they told us. That just proves that they weren't afraid at all, that they were absolutely lying to us. And I can tell you right now, behind the scenes, because I was behind the scenes, that they absolutely knew that it was all a ruse, that there was no real risk to our beautiful, young, healthy sons and daughters. But for them, they were the danger. They were the ones that weren't following the SOP for the barracks. They're the ones that allowed the substances to be on Fort Bliss and in the barracks. They are the ones that were allowing these young girls and 14-year-olds to live in the barracks being pimped out. They're the ones that were allowing the barracks to be flushed with weapons. They're the ones that allowed the breaches in security that caused the cartel to we come into Fort Bliss, and Richard to become a whistleblower, and they're the ones that absolutely are at fault for Richard's murder because they weren't doing their duty and they allowed this crime to happen. The government, thank you, Danielle, for coming on. The government already has gold immigration cards they give to military spouses that are immigrants from Mexico for at least 50 years now. But only the drug dealers would have 5 million for a gold card, not the innocent poor people. So that defies the purpose, just my opinion. Rich criminals will have that kind of money. Yeah, you have a point. You have a point. I don't know what kind of vetting system that these gold cards are going to get. But I also know that right now we have larceny in the heart. You know how many criminals are there, even poor, even poor. I was over there, and in our country, all over. It's just I think it's part of human nature. This larceny in heart, this um, who can con the other person more or whatever. Um, that's why you need leaders to instill ethics. St. Patrick's Day is coming on, and if you've never read St. Patrick's Confession, if you've never read St. Patrick's Prayer, if you don't know about his life in slavery and his sister's life there and in Breton, and how she was the mother of bishops. what they all did for the poor, but you need this leadership, right? Everyone needs leadership, and that's why parents are so important. That's why grandparents are so important. That's why the whole family unit is so important. That's why places of worship are so important. That's why respect and integrity in the workforce is so important. And that's why leadership in our politics is so important. But we have an absolute constitutional crisis, a leadership problem in El Paso, and it's absolutely hurting the poor. And it absolutely is destroying the economy, right? Um, which hurts the poor the most because the rich can knows how to get around um, a bad economy. The poor don't, and so these gold cards um, address the. I think it puts a light. It shines a light on our debt and the massive amount of debt that we have and little to show for it. Where are our fast rails? My mom was telling me about that in California, like $18 billion, and they don't even have one little rail set yet. And they've been doing it for years and years and years. The incompetence, the regulations that slow all of that down, they had it approved and then they never built it. But where is all the money? All the money is just gone, right? All the fraud, waste, and abuse. And so I think the spotlight on the debt is really, really important because you have to recognize something in order to do something about it, right? Um, and it absolutely will hurt the poor and are hurting the poor the most. So, you know, so who's going to vet these that can afford um, these gold cards? That's will be very, very interesting how that's all. We need to have some things, ideas on the table. That's that's the point. And it's not about left and right anymore. It really isn't. It's about law abiding and weaponizing the judicial system because absolutely, I can tell you this 100% Judge Guadarrama um, weaponized the federal judiciary. 100% Veronica Escobar weaponized the her congressional seat. Absolutely. You don't have a mass shooting and not meet with the president of the United States. When you have no diplomacy at all to serve the people, your constituents, then you shouldn't be in that seat because that's a seat when you're representing your constituents. You're not just representing your party constituents. You're representing everyone in your district. And by not meeting with President Trump, by not addressing Richard Halliday, because um, she absolutely knows because her team absolutely combed through all of our very open social media platforms and everything. That's her business, and absolutely knew that it's kind of like this whole thing with North Carolina, where FEMA, if you were on the right side, they just passed you over. They just passed you over. So, you know, the, the weaponization is is just so. documented at this point. We don't even have in El Paso a DA. We don't even have a DA. So it is, his talk about a constitutional crisis when you're trying to get um, prosecution, investigations, when you in any family, when you're in this circumstances, and there's a lot of families that need a DA right now. There's a lot of families that need proper judges that are, right now, every case can be used against you because they're botched. You see? So, you would just be going through the motions at the criminal law magistrate court because every case is botched there. How are they going to deal with that? And now you have the federal judiciary clearly wanting and able and puts politics first to weaponize the federal judiciary um, against Patrick Crucius, right? I mean, uh, at this point, what did he do? What did he do? I think he was just a total patsy. Uh, you know, and can we even hear from him because he didn't even start being verbal until he was 6 years old. Let's really hear from him. They have absolutely sealed that case because it was so orchestrated. And they didn't even bag his hands. So let's say and he had very uh, slow motor coordination or awkward coordination, right? Awkward coordination. And his clothes were clean. They didn't even bag his hands. They He surrendered twice, and they didn't even bag his hands, and they didn't even read him his Miranda rights. Um, and then they go, "Oh well, he waived his Miranda rights." Yeah, okay. You're at a mass shooting. It is absolutely, our law enforcement don't know to read the person's rights who they're arresting, and then it's a mass shooting. You don't even bag their hands to get some of the gunpowder residue, save it to get that kind of forensic evidence. It just tells me that it was such a setup. I mean, this is m- my take from the whole thing. Is it was such a setup. They didn't even think about it because he had clean clothes on. He had clean hands. He had clean. What does that tell you? He was a patsy. A patsy. And he even signed his application. Look, he's from a wealthy family. They said that he bought his weapon off of online store, right? But yet on his application, he had not a penny to his name. Nothing. They didn't put a penny down. They put zero. He didn't even have a penny to his name. Zero, 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 zero. What does that tell you? That he's so disabled that he has no money in his name, but you go online and he's supposed to be a millionaire, right? Um, and and his family's wealthy, and yet the taxpayers have to pay millions of dollars. They have to uh, pay for his defense, because this application where he signs Pat C and it has 000, and talk about the harm that does to the economy, to of course the justice system, to the victims, all of that. you know when you are messing with the economy, you're messing with the work of the people, the actions of the people, and you're hindering their freedom. And so, yes, I care about all the victims. I care about my son as a victim. But when you're messing with an economy, you're going to have one big nation of victims. One big nation of victims that are controlled. Every motion, every action is going to be controlled. That's what they were doing. It's economics 101. You you have to be able to work and act and profit off of that. I mean, who wants to work as a slave? And then you get, like right now, because the labor force was so wanting, right? Because people were able to stay at home and just collect money at home, or, go and have another little job, whatever, but where they were collecting two paychecks, or, you know, whatever the way they were getting money to live, um, besides going and working a job for it, then that really stunted the applicants, right? The applicant talk about applicants. You should see Priscilla Mata's application. Oh my gosh. Yeah, wow. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. She's over there at the county courthouse for years running around. Yeah, is that's just a whole another story of this. Um, but it tells you about the fraud. It tells you about these honeypot plots that are not on the books, that are not on the books. Um, and this stress of the economy that we don't even have applicants enough. We don't have the pool of workers to choose from to get the best worker. If you're uh, desperate for a worker, like, I went down to Lowe's here, and wanted to buy some nice spring flowers, right? Some daffodils, a nice daffodil mixture, bring it to my mom with some tulips and everything like that. And some of them are dead, right? Because you have these plants coming in and you don't have workers that are plant lovers. They're just hiring whoever, and then they are not taking pride in their work. And then you have the loss of product, and then you have inflation because you had all these plants die. So now you have to raise the price up to make up for all these dead plants because your workers don't want to give a little water to, don't have a green thumb, right? Don't have a green thumb. And they're like, "Ah, it's such a problem to find people that that love these plants." Right? That's just my example. So, but you have to have workers, so you're just taking whoever comes in because it was so limited. We need a huge um, uh, population of workers that can find their position, what they really love, and do well. And think about what that would do to just our security, our uh, our culture, the quality of life. The quality of your life will just go way up, and you have to protect that, and you wouldn't have this cartel ran um, with very bad intentions, wanting to drag our economy downward into a depression, because depression is good for their business, you see. bringing people down into a depressive state, thinking they're not good at anything, thinking, oh my gosh, my whole family's a mess and I've lost everything. That's good for their business, for their trafficking business. And that's, that this is why this whole thing happened. And then greed also, because absolutely, Michael Garrett is got greedy. John Kelly, what was he doing working over in Chihuahua? What was General John Kelly doing working over there? What the hell was he doing working over there? He's Homeland Security. He's on the payroll of Mexico, of Chihuahua, Mexico. Comey, yeah. Is it Comey? Yeah, Comey. What this investigation into Comey reveals is that what we have been saying all along is absolutely what's going on. We've been right. And not that we are, of course I have Make America Great Again hat on. Of course I do. How can you not be for making America great again? The cover up of Biden's health problems, mental health problems, is also an indication of the deception that was going on. And still, when you read accounts of Richard that pop up, because this is the thing with Comey's, and this is what I'm so glad I keep talking and then I remember what I want to say. But Comey was meeting with Google, was meeting with social media, was meeting with the leaders of the media, of the legacy media, before he did this unsanctioned Russia stuff on President Trump. Okay. He was meeting with them so that when the attack occurred, that anyone that had an opposing opinion to the main narrative was shut down. That is what has come out. Now, do I believe all of these stories that are coming out now and, just blindly and that? No. No, I don't. I'm absolutely we are absolutely um vetting the sources and thinking things through and trying to get evidence, and because we've been conned this whole time. But I can tell you this, we have absolutely been attacked to shut up. Absolutely, you know, people that were supporting us at the beginning, they were attacked to shut down. Good friends were attacked. So that, it's like, wow, I'm not getting involved in that. I don't need this stuff. Our family was attacked. We were attacked. Richard was attacked. And it was by powerful paid uh agents. Absolutely. And trying to be influenced, and they would not. Sean Bernabe said he would get on and make his announcement once a month. He didn't do that. They've kept all of this very, very hush hush because it is mixed up with the cartel, with the Sinaloa cartel, which are, the terrible group, the terrible organization. This is mixed up with an international um, crime. And so it's uh, very political. And then it has to do with our military, which has always been protected. But it was so outrageous. So outrageous. And I'm all for protecting. And let me tell you, the military probably was shocked at us because they knew they had already found Richard's body and they didn't tell us. They knew they already had his partial remains and it was so bad that they couldn't tell us. But we had no idea. And we were saying, look, we love the military. Just tell us what happened. And they wouldn't do it because they couldn't have another Vanessa Guillen situation. Meaning the fallout. They were protecting themselves from the fallout. We even told them we wouldn't go to the press, just tell us what happened to our son. They knew. And that's why they were shaking. That's why they were looking at us like, uh, deer in the headlights. And they came after us, y'all, for being nice and loving the army and wanting and even absolutely telling them, we know you don't want the bad press. Just tell us what happened to our son. Give us our son. They went after us. They have no decency and they need to be held accountable for what they did because they are part of this criminal cartel connected group that was selling our country out to foreign whoever paid the biggest price. And Comey needs to be held accountable because he is the poster boy for exactly what we're talking about. And if he did it, absolutely some generals were doing it. And absolutely others in trusted positions that have everything given to them by us, the people. They're not in private uh, business. They're supposed to be servants. And they weaponized themselves and the power that we've given them against us. And they need to absolutely be held accountable. And so to hear that Jaime Esparza was fired, the media sugarcoats it all. He was fired. And I'm hoping that what we're hearing about Michael Pleaders, the immigration judge, I'm hoping that he also doesn't have his job. And I'm saying it publicly because I'd like to know from people there in El Paso if you know. Gold Star parents need help. Thank you so much. We do need change. Yeah, but only the drug dealers. I don't know. I don't know who's the top in the economy, right? I don't know. There's plenty of people that have big money. There's so many clever people out there. Um, I don't know. I have a lot of hope in humanity, even with all of this, because to be honest with you, this is not that big of a group. This is a big group, but it's not. Look, President Trump won the election, and he won by a lot. That tells you something. I mean, everywhere you went, in news, if you went to the airport or whatever, it was all against him. It was all against him. And, I mean, I lived in Ireland. They're all against him. I lived in Germany. They're all against, you know, uh, and I shouldn't say all, but a huge, and you know why? Because they don't have freedom of speech over there. It's all very controlled. You can't really go to certain sites, alternative news, and stuff like that. And here in this country, um, he won that election. He won it. And we absolutely need to give him um, that respect for that and let his team put new ideas on the table because we haven't had new ideas. It's all war, 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 and spend, spend, spend. War, 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 spend, spend, spend. Debt, debt, debt. That's not a good recipe, y'all. That is not a good recipe. No. And, I've been to enough places. I can tell you that the United States is, it needs to be merit based because Patrick Crucius, they wanted to call him the R word, right? They wanted to call him the R word. He's not. He's not. So much is like a psyop. And I'm not saying people are perfect, but it is not what they say. And that Walmart mass shooting, that the whole narrative is all wrong. And I can tell you that with hard evidence, you know. And that's why that case is just burning millions of dollars to be frozen. And so many violations. And the only reason why that would happen is because it was an orchestrated crime. It was an organized crime for um, to deflect accountability and politics. That's what I um, see the pieces saying. The evidence confirms that it was absolutely to deflect accountability, to be able to traffic with impunity without any audits or anything, investigations, and to get rid of the chief law enforcer, and that was President Trump. was absolutely an attack on President Trump. And if you go back and just read some articles, um, you'll see it was just, yeah. And the evidence, the forensic evidence, tells a different story than what the narrative. And just the fact that Patrick Crusius had family in El Paso, they said that he didn't have any family in El Paso. Um, that they got taxpayers to pay for his defense with an open checkbook when he's from a wealthy family, um, for years and years, and that his family's in the federal courthouse that has mitigating evidence that they were living in the same area in San Antonio. He was living together in San Antonio, the same area as Alexis Maella. The whole thing is the truth is so different. The evidence is so different that he had a job, and then he put down 000 000. I'm 000. Give me millions, and then he signs it like a child, like a 7-year-old, 8-year-old child, and then they parade him around after 5 years in chains and orange jumpsuit. That is so criminal because that's a state capital case. And what does that tell you in Richard's case? Did they hide the autopsy reports? Well, they tried. What about the Borstar report? What about I got a number of reports, lots of reports. Um and why is Richard's case so secretive, right? Shh. It's all sealed. Why was it sealed? Why couldn't we even get simple things at the beginning? Simple things. It was just one big cover up. So, this was a systemic pattern of fraud, waste, and abuse and criminal activity and the weaponization of the justice system. Absolutely. From Comey to the Walmart mass shooting to Richard's case and others. And if and I hope no one ever has to live through it, it is the most eye opening experience that is hell. It's absolutely hell, but it's so eye opening how this small group has power over the media, social media, has power over judges, has power over AGs and DA offices, and they have HR, right? HR, and it's just trickle down compromised from there, right? It's just trickle down compromise from there. So, Veronica Escobar absolutely had a duty, and she absolutely refused to do it. Refused and participated in the bullying. Participated in it. Remember Veltri? Veltri. Ugh, gosh, that time. Anyway, so her husband is up to no good too, and he had a duty too. So, thank you all. Leilani Hart needs to be arrested ASAP, as soon as possible. I don't know what Agent Morales is waiting for. Maybe he's waiting for a personal call from director Kash Patel. Maybe he is. Maybe there's a shakeup going on. at the field office in El Paso. Um, you know, something's going on. So because there's a there's a lot of top cartel people being extradited. So thank you so much. God bless you, and thank you for coming on. We just love you. Even in our frustration, I hope that you're patient with us, and thank you for your patience. But to come on day after day and especially engage in chats and conversation is so important. And we just love you for that, um, because that really pushes forward uh, this us getting justice. It drives them every time, um, to getting us closer to justice. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow.